Good morning, dear students. Once again, I welcome you all on this online session of Class 12 Information Technology. Now, in today's discussion, we are going to deal with the second unit of our chapter, second unit of our discussion, that is operating web. Now, before discussing the whole content, before discussing the whole topics, whatever is there inside this unit, we simply need to learn two most important topics. One is web-based application and the second one is web browser. Second one is web browser. Now, what are these two terms? We will discuss one by one. So, the first one is web-based application. What is an web-based application? An application that can be accessed via a web browser. Okay, an application, any application or a setup which can be accessed via a web browser. An application which can be accessed by means of a specific tool which is called web browser over a network connection. See, whenever we are using our laptop or computer, obviously we might be using, nowadays it has become mandatory to use the internet connection as well. So whenever we are connected to a network via means of internet, in such situation the application which can be accessed via a web browser over any particular network connection is called a web-based application. For example, you might have went to makemytrip.com. Make my trip. Now, what is the purpose of this application? This is an example of web-based application. Similarly, if we go ahead and want to book tickets in order to move from this location to some other location by means of train, then we generally use this application irctc.co.in. Similarly, apart from this, if we would go ahead, if there is a requirement, if there is a need for purchasing anything online, now in this situation of pandemic, it becomes very much important that we should do most of our marketing or most of our business activities via means of via online mode only. It will not only save our time but also prevent us from the effect of pandemic. Correct? So an example of that one is, say, jabong.com. So these are the three list of websites which I have noted in front of you in order to make you clear about the topic so-called web-based application, a topic which is also known as web-based application. So simply, in the simplest possible way, in the simplest possible method, an application which can be accessed via a web browser. Anything, an application or a software which can be accessed, which can be browsed via means of a web browser over a network connection is also called as web-based application. An example of this is these three websites: Make My Trip, IRCTC, Jabong. Fine. Now, one more important thing is there related to web-based application. See, any web-based application provides us the convenience of availability 24/7. It means what? Anything that is any kind of web-based application can be accessed online 24/7 into 365 at any point of time, on any day, and at any time stamp it can be accessed. So this is what so-called web-based application. Now let us move to the next topic. Not next topic, actually a term came up when we were discussing the web-based application, that is web browser. So what actually is the meaning of a web browser? Now you might have while accessing any of the websites over the internet, you might have went to google.com. Correct? You might have went to Google software or application. That is also an application, internet or web-based application. Correct? As soon as you place your keyword, as soon as you type the keyword which is being needed in order to open that particular application in the Google and press enter, it will simply redirect us to a lot of pages. Correct? lot of pages. So that Google application can also be considered as a web browser. Similar to Google, not many web browsers are there. Sorry, Chrome. That particular software is having a specific name that is known as Chrome. Okay, similar to Chrome, few more web browsers are there. One is Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera Mini, and recently one web browser that has been banned, mobile web browser that has been banned, which was a Chinese company, that is UC browser, correct? So these are certain web browsers which are available by means of which we can access an application or a web-based application via use of internet. So in simplest word, if we go ahead and define a web browser, it can simply be defined as a software application by means of which we can access information over the World Wide Web. Or internet. See, since in this chapter, in this unit, we are simply discussing on different applications by means of which we can operate on web. So in the beginning, we have taken the definition of a web-based application. Any application which can be accessed via a web browser by means of a web browser over a network connection. If our computer is connected, if our system is connected to a network, then in order to access a web-based application, we need a web browser. Okay, and moreover, a web-based application provides us the convenience of its usage 24/7, means at any point of time, at any location, at any time duration, on any date, it can be accessed and at anywhere. Now, what is a web browser? A term came up in our definition of web-based application, that is web browser. Web browser is a software application by means of which we can access information over the World Wide Web. Now here certain examples, as I have cited earlier, certain examples are Chrome, Mozilla, Opera Mini, and so on. Okay. So these are the two things based on which our whole Unit 2 is based. Now, under the working of a web browser, the web browser generally works on client-server protocol, which I will give a brief overview on the client-server protocol. What is a client-server protocol? Now, the machine which we are using, that is the computer or the laptop or the devices which we are using, can be considered as a client. And the location from where the information is being retrieved is also known as server. Okay. Now, web browser works on the principle of client-server protocol. What happens as soon as there is a need or there is a request for accessing any information from any specific location, in such situation, we will simply place a request on the web browser by means of our client machine. We will simply put a request by via client machine to the server. Okay, and after getting this request, the server will simply search that particular information on the list of devices which are connected to this server. And once that information is being retrieved or is being obtained, the server will simply redirect that information to our device, which is also considered as client, and this process is also known as response. Okay, so this is how a web browser works, and it is also known as the client server architecture. Client server architecture means client will make a request to the server, and server, after retrieving the request, after going through the request, it will search for the information related to the request everywhere. That particular server, it might be connected to several networks, correct? So it will go through each and every devices whichever is there connected in that particular server, whatever the network that are connected to this particular server, and once that information is being retrieved, it will simply send the information in the form of response to the client. Okay, so why it is important? Because once we place our request on, say, Chrome browser, suppose a keyword is there, I have typed on the Chrome browser and pressed enter, then automatically our client machine or the machine by means of which we are placing the request will raise this request sent to the server. Server here means World Wide Web. World Wide Web in a sense, since we are using Google Chrome, so it will search over the World Wide Web, whole world, the networks which are connected. It will search each and every networks, and after retrieving, after getting those information, it will send it as a response to our machine. So these are the two important concepts which we need to learn, which we need to remember whenever we are discussing anything related to the web application or operating web-based application. Okay, so these are very important. Note down these points. And with this, I would like to conclude today's class. Thank you.